How many times must I tell you? You must never put your life on the line for me.
Mother has always had a fascination for Lord Mortimer, but has never wanted to tell me why.
We are doing our utmost to find your mother as quickly as possible.
Without your mother, hundreds of men of the cloth would have gone to the guillotine.
All I can tell you is I'm looking for my sister.
Do you believe your mother capable of torturing a child?
An agreement for cannons. Lord Mortimer assured me that you are to take over the project on behalf of your mother.
Johann Christoph von Wollner, Minister of Religious Affairs, and Jacques Peroux, French Revolutionary Tribunal Judge. You will find that Lord Mortimer is not what one would call conventional, Monsieur de Richet.
I do apologize for being late. I was obliged to clear up some urgent business.
At last we meet, Monsieur de Richet. Do you mind if I call you Louis?
Please do.
Thank you. I wish to apologize wholeheartedly, Louis. I made you cross the seas, and I wasn't even here to welcome you. When I asked you to join us here, it was, of course, in the hope that you would help us find your mother. However, there may be some new developments, but I don't know if they are linked to your mother. We have found Elizabeth Adams' body in her room. I'm afraid she was brutally murdered, stabbed several times. Duchess Hillsborough informed us that she accompanied you at the beginning of the evening. You apparently bumped into Miss Adams, who wanted to speak to you. We are told you turned her away, and she went away on her own.
That's correct.
Do you know what she wanted to see you about, by any chance?
Not in the least.
Pity. The poor child was probably trying to find help.
I thought it could wait until tomorrow.
Apparently not. Louis, I shan't hide the fact that this tragedy puts me in a very delicate situation. I cannot risk upsetting the smooth operation of our next conference. But the case cannot remain unaddressed. I must reassure my guests, and justice will be done. And for that to happen, I must ask for your help.
Why's that?
You met Elizabeth. You spoke together, I believe. She trusted you. Listen, Louis. Find out who could have committed this murder. I refuse to believe that one of my guests is the murderer. I want to know who is responsible for this. And I trust you. You have my backing. You must stop at nothing. Can I count on you?
Of course. How would you like me to proceed?
Maybe you could start by going to the scene of the crime. Elizabeth was attacked in her room.
Do you have any suspects in mind, my lord?
I spent most of the night talking with Sir Gregory and His Eminence Piaggi. So I think you can remove them from the list of suspects. Monsieur Bonaparte and President Washington left the party after midnight, I believe. They were tired and went up to bed.
Can you tell me anything else about what happened?
Now, Louis, I wouldn't want to influence you. Get over there and form your own opinion.
Do you have any suspects in mind, my lord?
I spent most of the night talking with Sir Gregory and His Eminence Piaggi. So I think you can remove them from the list of suspects. Monsieur Bonaparte and President Washington left the party after midnight, I believe. They were tired and went up to bed.
Right. I'll get over there immediately.
Thank you, Louis. Now, once you've finished, come back and let me know your findings. I'll be waiting. And Louis, you've got permission to search through the guests' rooms. They've all been notified and they agree.
Your Eminence, I imagine that you've heard the news about Miss Adams.
What a tragedy, my son. How could such a thing have happened?
That's exactly what I'm trying to find out. Did you notice anything out of the ordinary last night?
I saw the young French soldier, Bonaparte, I believe, hanging around near Miss Adams' room. But I would not want to get an innocent man into trouble, Louis. It's probably nothing. But if I were you, my son, I would talk to Monsieur Peru. You remember how violently he set upon Miss Adams.
Oh, don't worry. He's on the list of suspects.
Sir Johann van Volnda.
clock stopped at 3:54. If it was smashed during the murder, then I've just established the time of the crime. That would clear Emily de facto because she was still with me at the time. Pentagram? What the hell's been going on here? Many esoteric rituals are based on this shape. Could Elizabeth have been sacrificed during an occult ritual? Vials of laudanum. The label shows that this laudanum comes straight from America. I wonder if Washington's involved. Piece of fabric. High quality at that. I'd say it's silk. Going by the texture and the gray hue, it must come from a dress, that kind that women of quality wear. The color doesn't correspond to Emily's black outfits, and Elizabeth doesn't have anything quite like this in her wardrobe. Let's take a closer look. It's a little dirty. It must come from the bottom of the dress where it touches the ground. I recognize that moire pattern. It's the same as the travel dress my mother was wearing when she left. But why the hell did she come into this room? Piece of fabric. High quality at that. I'd say it's silk. Going by the texture and the gray hue, it must come from a dress, that kind that women of quality wear. A pistol? Fairly new, I'd say. And judging by the weight of it, fairly light. A tribute engraved on the barrel. To the liberators of France. There's a few dried traces of blood on the grip. Difficult to know for sure how they got there. It's extremely well maintained. The barrel is perfectly clean. It isn't loaded, and well, there's no traces of gunshot residue. I'd conclude that it hasn't been used recently. Right. I shall have to find its owner. November 1791. My dear sister, the cancellation of our reunion hit me like a stab to the heart. Father told me it was for your well-being, but I can't help but blame him. He claims that your condition has worsened and that it could be dangerous for both of us if we met. If only I knew where you were, believe me, I'd be at your side. I haven't received any news from you in a long time. Please write. Your loving sister, Abigail. P.S. I hope you like the enclosed talisman. June 11th, 1791. My dear Elizabeth, your last letter gave me much cause for concern. Your words were so cold, as if emotions no longer mattered to you. Father maintains that the secondary effects of your treatment still trouble you, but that they will soon subside. Should I believe him? I cling to the belief that we shall soon see each other again, at long last. Right soon. Your loving sister, Abigail. P.S. Don't forget to tell me what present you want. August 24th, 1792. Elizabeth, I am driven to despair and doubt there is any point in writing to you. I'm not even sure you'll receive my letters. Father controls my correspondence more and more. I am certain he filters our exchanges. Thankfully, one of the chambermaids is able to help me get my letters to you. But they still remain unanswered. I often think about you and pray every day to be able to hold you tight. We have so much time to make up. I beg you, answer me, please. Your loving sister, Abigail. P.S. That horrible woman came again yesterday. She spent a long time speaking with Father. I didn't understand everything because they spoke in French, but I'm sure they were talking about you.
A notebook, written in Elizabeth's handwriting. It is written in a mix of several languages. Not too easy to work out.
Devil's Thorn. I'll keep it.
Blood spatter indicates that the murderer must have held Elizabeth upright during the attack. Even if Elizabeth wasn't very big, I doubt she wouldn't have put up a struggle. It takes tremendous strength to overpower someone like that. The blade is short and thin. Well sharpened, apparently. It's covered in blood. Still fresh. The lower part of the handle is unsullied by blood. The murderer gripped the weapon so tight that there's no blood where he held it. The handprint indicates a small and slender hand. Poor girl bled to death. Whoever left that footprint has boats for feet, size like that here. Peru? Washington, maybe. Knocked over bottle of wine. What kind of plonk is that? Hey, it's a Bordeaux. That's a Chateau de Brion. It's a great wine. I don't know what's happened to this wine, but it's undrinkable. There are numerous marks on the body. She must have fought like a lion. It couldn't have happened without a lot of noise. There are also a number of old scars. Scarring, ugh. Scarring isn't very regular, but they're mostly from old cuts. She had the Sigillum de Ameth tattooed on her, the symbol of the living God, written in the language of angels, according to believers. It is rare for someone to know about symbols like this at her age, unless her mother was a tutor. People who scar themselves in this way generally do so to relieve some kind of psychological suffering. By trying to master the pain, they establish their self-control. Scarring, ugh. Scarring isn't very regular, but they're mostly from old cuts. I count no fewer than 9 wounds on the thorax, with a lot of blood. At first sight, I'd say that's what caused her death. Some of these tattoos are veritable works of... What's that? The skin between her breasts is different. Bloody hell! This tattoo was drawn on a page of leather and stitched onto her skin. Probably during childhood. If the scars are anything to go by. It's the same kind of tattoo as on the rest of her body. I see no sign of bruising on the skull. The only clue is a scar from a previous craniectomy. Poor Elizabeth, she must have been very young when she went through all that. That's torture. She also has old scars around the neck, maybe mutilations. She bled from the nose. What a strange smell. Laudanum. Certain courtiers use it to get drunk. If taken in large quantities, it can provoke fits of madness. Her breath smells of alcohol and of laudanum. People use it to relieve pain. She bled from the nose. No wounds, but blood on the right hand. Nothing on the left except that tattooed symbol. This pinnacle's a trap. The wearers of the pinnacle thought that they were protected from evil by surrounding it inside the different circles of the pinnacle. Blood, but no trace of blows on the legs. More tattoos, similar to those on the rest of her body. Clock stopped at 3:54. If it was smashed during the murder, then I've just established the time of the crime. That would clear Emily de facto because she was still with me at the time. Vials of laudanum. My dear Elizabeth, I'm writing to inform you of some unfortunate news. We won't be able to meet as planned on the first Sunday of May. I've been told that you're no better, and, unfortunately, your brothers and I are absolutely snowed under by the work required to govern this new country. Please, excuse us. As soon as we can get free, even if it's just for a day, I promise we shall come and see you. Your loving father, John Adams. P.S. Don't hold it against your mother. She still isn't ready. Please don't judge her. I'm sure you'll be able to put all of this behind you one day. A chest with a half-circle pattern.
A novel of the initiation of a young woman into polite society.
Has Sir finished with this room?
I know enough now. Thank you.
Very well, sir. Sir may return whenever need be. I shall guard the door.
Good day, Monsieur de Richet.
Mr. Volner, are you looking for anything in particular? Next to Elizabeth's room?
No, nothing special.
You ought to go back to your room, as Lord Mortimer asked you to.
And may I know why you yourself are not in your quarters?
For very sad reasons, sir, which only concern Lord Mortimer, the only person I'm accountable to.
Oh, well, look at you. The new right-hand man. I see. I shall leave you now, sir. I will return to my room.
President George Washington. A map of Massachusetts. Portrait of George Washington.
My dear George, I'd like to invite you to join me as planned at my place. I have a project to show you. It is time that the United States played a more important role on the world stage. I understand your reluctance of playing with fire. I know your new country is very young, but rest assured that I would do nothing to jeopardize what we have built together. I look forward to seeing you soon. Your friend, William.
It looks like a note between Emily and Washington about trade deals.
Greetings, Louis.
Mr. President, you can guess why I'm here.
Of course.
Lord Mortimer has sent me to ask you a few questions about last night.
It's... How am I going to tell Elizabeth's father that she's dead?
I know, Mr. President. I shall endeavor to find out the truth about this tragedy. I must ask you to help me, though. Please.
Find the degenerate pig who did this, Louis.
Tell me, Mr. President, had you spoken to Elizabeth since your arrival? You know her father. You thought she was dead.
No, I didn't. And I believe I'll be taking my remorse with me to my grave. I wanted to, but I didn't know where to begin.
You can't blame yourself. You couldn't have known that her days were numbered. Were you aware that Elizabeth took laudanum?
Yes. She came to ask me for some. She had finished her reserve, I believe.
Do you take it regularly, Mr. President?
Unfortunately, I do, Louis. I still suffer from a terrible toothache, and it's not likely to get any better.
It's just for that, then?
Old age, my young friend. I don't wish it upon you, but you'll soon see. At my age, it's rare to have no problems in that domain.
And do you take a lot?
A moderate amount, Louis. Only the dosage indicated on the prescription of my doctor.
Do you know if she had any enemies, Mr. President?
Not that I know of. I heard about her altercation with Mr. Peru, but that case was closed, if I'm not mistaken. But if in doubt, I wouldn't leave any door unopened. And I'd go and question your fellow countrymen.
Don't worry. Countryman or not, I'm not letting anybody slip through the cracks. Do you know why she came to the island?
To get help, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that right?
Indeed. Sir Gregory suggested to her father that he introduce her to Lord Mortimer, to see if he could help her.
Yes, Lord Mortimer has a talent for healing, apparently. I'm not surprised Sir Gregory advised her to come.
Agreed. Mr. President, we found a footprint at the scene of the crime.
Not a dress shoe, I hope. That's all I wear.
No, rest assured. It looks like the print of a big ankle boot. A large size, I'd say.
Perfect. That should help you, Louis. It's a clue.
Monseigneur, His Eminence Cardinal Piaggi. Huh, that's me. Duke Manuel Godoy. Duchess Emily Hillsborough.
Tending children at the orphanage in Harlem. I find it a little hard to understand this painting choice. King George III in coronation robes. Nice touch for the room of an English duchess.
Dear E, I received your last letter. Unfortunately, the Crown informed the Golden Order that our mission should under no circumstances hamper Sir Gregory's plans. Decidedly, they have support from the highest level in Buckingham Palace. So here we both are, hands and feet tied, and little room to maneuver. Keep me abreast of events. Our mission is becoming more complicated. Yours, E. T.S. The French chapter of the Order doesn't appear to know anything about the arrival of our friend Sarah. I therefore cannot comment on it. However, my guess is that she has come here for personal reasons.
The Lady's Waldegrave by Reynolds, painted upon the request of the Waldegrave family, in an effort to find them a husband. Displayed like meat. It's disgusting.
Grammar of Port-Royal,
Ah, the artistry of the French language and all its splendor. Whoever masters French commands the world. At least une partie of it. A letter from William Pitt the Younger, addressed to Emily. He's the present Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. England has indeed some powerful backers. Madam, thank you for consoling the Queen. The King's situation is worsening, but I wager he'll recover from this present fit. Next time you speak with Her Majesty the Queen, would you please be so kind as to ask her to look into my petition to raise taxes with the King? I will personally see to it that our nation will recover from this impasse. But King George's mental situation is slowing down our decision-taking. Thank you in advance for all your help. William Pitt, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain. Two coils circle the lock. A letter from William Pitt the Elder, addressed to Emily. He was the English Prime Minister. This letter dates from 15 years ago now. Madam, I shall never thank you enough for all your care and attention. I shall be indebted to you until my last breath. If you have any request of me, you only need ask. With regards to my son William, I shall never thank you enough for looking after him. You know the latter's preferences, and you will understand he needs you desperately. For that, and as agreed with Queen Charlotte, our friend Duke Hillsborough will carry out his task and meet with you within 6 months. From then on, you'll be free from want. Yours sincerely, William Pitt, Count of Chatham. Queen Charlotte. All the royal family of England is there from what I can tell.
The Devil's Thorn, to be used to uncover the best disguised traits.
What can I do for you, Louis?
I've come to see you about last night's tragedy. Did you hear anything about what happened to Elizabeth?
Yes, we all did. Rumors spread quickly, you know. How awful. I didn't know her well, but I hope at least the poor thing didn't suffer too much.
Death came quickly. You can be assured of that.
If such a senseless act can happen here... None of us is truly safe anywhere. Lord Mortimer must be mortified that one of his guests could have committed such an act, don't you think?
He is indeed very upset about it. It's only natural after such a violent murder.
Violent? What do you mean?
Elizabeth was stabbed 9 times.
Oh my God, Louis. How awful. The murderer must have had a serious grudge against her to set upon her like that. It must have been a crime of passion. Do you know what happened exactly?
In fact, Lord Mortimer has asked me to look into this case, Emily.
Really? Are you Lord Mortimer's snoop now?
I'm doing it for Elizabeth, not to please Mortimer.
Good for you. Quite right, too. Have you found out anything?
Did you and Elizabeth get to know each other?
I must admit, Louis, I didn't take much interest in her. I feel a bit guilty about it, but I never actually spoke to her. She seemed burdened by her problems, and as she wasn't invited to the conference, I didn't really seek her out.
We found the murder weapon.
What is it?
A dagger, quite slim.
Have you found its owner?
Not yet. Still searching as it happens. That said, since a blade penetrated the body several times, the murderer's hand will have been covered in blood.
You think that's a clue?
The handprint was a very slender hand, Emily. Probably that of a woman.
Do you realize what that means? There are only 3 of us on the island. Bearing in mind that neither my sister nor myself had any reason to set upon the young lady, that means...
I know, Emily. I know.
Keep up your courage, Louis. I'm sure there's an explanation. You're bound to shed some light on it all.
If what you say is true, Emily, I'm less and less enthusiastic about shedding any light on the subject. I found a torn piece of dress in Miss Adams' room. Gray silk.
Where's it from?
That's what I'm trying to find out. The color doesn't match any of Elizabeth's dresses, but I might not have found all of her clothes yet.
Good Lord, Louis, do you realize what this means? If this piece of dress isn't from Elizabeth, then it's... I don't have any grey silk dresses, Louis. Neither does my sister, since we wear the same clothes.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to check with you.
I'm so sorry, Louis.
Thank you.
Are you all right? You know, I'm sure there's a good reason why your mother was at the scene.
Thank you, Emily. I won't keep you, Emily. Thank you for answering my questions.
See you, Louis.
Monsieur Napoléon Bonaparte.
The Prince by Machiavelli. A perfect read for anyone with a surfeit of ambition. That might come in handy.
Carmelite water. They say that if you drink this, it gives you a real boost.
dearest son, I'm writing to implore you to act quickly. The situation is rapidly worsening here. Paoli continues to steer our motherland, Corsica, toward open warfare between France and England. His men are everywhere. We are obliged to go into hiding and are unable to remain in the same place for more than 2 days. I wouldn't be surprised if they targeted us soon. Make haste, my son. You hold our destiny in your hands. Your loving mother, Maria Letizia Bonaparte. My dearest son, I'm writing to implore you to act quickly.
It's a beautiful weapon. A Levi Damask blade. It's marked with the initials of the manufacturer in Versailles. A bicorn decorated with a cockade. It must belong to a French soldier.
The Battle of Alexander at Issus, or how Alexander the Great triumphed over King Darius. This is Circe. Hannibal crossing the Alps. Another military success. Why do I get nothing but visions of horror in my room? And he gets victory after victory? A cache. Fragment of amber. French actor Talma is Nero in Britannicus, the last emperor of the Caesar dynasty.
Just one holster in Bonaparte's gear, and the pistol is missing. On the other hand, his cleaning equipment is in mint condition. That's typical of the soldier in him.
My dear Napoleon, as previously agreed, I would like to ask you to join us in January on my island to participate in the High Society meeting organized for the occasion. We shall be able to continue our discussion about our project for a new order for France. I have a proposition to make to you concerning your wish to put a strong leader at the head of France. I trust you to be discreet as to your coming. See you soon. Lord William Mortimer.
Vercingetorix throws down his arms at the feet of Julius Caesar by Royer, two great army chiefs.
Monsieur de Richet, please be quick. We are both very busy.
As any good soldier would, I imagine you own a firearm. May I see it?
Oh, well, if you really want to, here is my pistol. Don't worry, it is not loaded.
Do you have several of these?
In Corsica, oui, but not on me when I am traveling. Only a bandit would carry such an arsenal.
Thank you. Did you hear about young Elizabeth?
Indeed, it is deeply regrettable.
Lord Mortimer asked me to...
I know. You no doubt want to know my alibi. I spent the night downstairs playing cards.
Can you tell me who was present at the game, please?
Well, there were Lord Mortimer, President Washington, and Sir Gregory.
Thank you.
Ah, and His Eminence Piaggi as well. Excuse me, I nearly forgot him. Poor soul.
Did any of you leave during the game?
Not that I know of, monsieur. I didn't exactly spend my time noting the other guests' comings and goings, but I don't think so.
Thank you. What time did the game end?
I can't say exactly. As for me, I must have stayed until midnight. I was exhausted, couldn't think straight, so I preferred to go up to bed.
On your way up to bed, did you notice anything out of the ordinary?
No, not in the least. The whole manor was sound asleep.
Not really. No. Did you notice anything unusual during the evening?
Nothing at all, except the luck of the devil of Lord Mortimer and Sir Gregory at cards.
Did they win much?
Oh la la, monsieur, they cleaned us out more like. But I plan on getting it all back before we leave.
Did you hear about young Elizabeth?
Indeed, it is deeply regrettable.
Lord Mortimer asked me to...
I know. You no doubt want to know my alibi. I spent the night downstairs playing cards.
Someone saw you not far from the victim's room. Can you tell me what you were doing exactly, please?
I can tell you that someone is an idiot. I wanted to warn her to be careful. You see, on the night of my arrival, I saw someone leaving her room in haste, and I wanted to speak to her, to warn her. Unfortunately, the young lady slipped through my fingers each time. Now I know why. She had every reason to be worried. What an idiot I was not to insist. I could have helped her.
I've been studying him for a while now, and I don't think he was lying. Yet, I'm surprised how easy it was for me to read him. It must surely be his military side. I wish they all could be like that. My investigation would be finished already.
Well, have we finished, monsieur?
Exactly. Thanks again for all your answers. Good day. Jacques Perru.
What do you want from me, de Richet?
Greetings. It's fallen to me
Cut the crap! Get to the point. We both know why you're here.
And have you got anything to tell me?
What does it matter? It's too late anyway. Do what you have to do and get out.
It's never too late, sir. If you have something to say, now is the time.
You don't understand. And everything's already written. It's over.
Why is he behaving like the perfect culprit? What is it that's already written? I'm not sure I follow you.
No, you don't.
A pattern with 4 circles. The Massacre of the Innocents, but by Van Harlem. I think that Mortimer likes to play mind games with his guests.
Dear friend, please come and join us. We must meet about the ongoing operations in Paris. A boat will be waiting for you in Calais and will take you to Dover in England. From there, a carriage will take you to the port of Tintagel, where a frigate will be waiting for you and other guests, so you can meet up with me on my island as quickly as possible. I await your arrival. Lord William Mortimer.
Records of the police. Notes intended for the police lieutenant of Paris. It's a list of people under surveillance in Paris. And there's some well-known names on it. This is valuable information. This shouldn't be lying around. The Massacre of the Innocents by Rubens. A bit gloomy. Guess my room is not that bad. Pattern with 4 circles. Dear Monsieur Peru, I'm writing to thank you for the funds you sent. These funds will be crucial for the renovation of the western wing of the orphanage. The children you sent are doing marvelously well, and little Pierre will soon be walking. Some of them still sometimes suffer nightmares about their parents on the scaffold, but I expect they will cease in due course. Should you decide to send us more, please note that another 20 beds will soon be ready. The children and myself will never thank you enough. Long live the Republic.
Long live France. Sister Marie-Hélène.
I have no space left. I'll retrieve it later. I have no space left. I'll retrieve it later.
All right. Have you finished?
Not quite. I'd like you to answer a few questions. Let's get right to it. Are you a... Elizabeth Adams' murderer?
That is for you to prove, if I'm not mistaken, boy. You weren't expecting me to do all the legwork for you, were you? Lazy man.
You were armed the night of my arrival. Can I see your weapon?
No.
You do realize you're not helping, don't you? You're making it worse for yourself. I know you were at the scene. We will save a lot of time if you just tell me what happened.
You know nothing at all.
Enlighten me then. For now, I have your footprint in a pool of blood.
That's right. The only thing you can prove is one of my boots was at the scene. Congratulations, you've wrapped up the investigation. All right. Have you finished?
Not quite. I'd like you to answer a few questions. I'd like to talk about the letter you're writing. What woman is it addressed to?
Who says it's a woman? I'm not saying any more. There's no point you insisting. All right. Have you finished?
Not quite. I'd like you to answer a few questions. 2 days ago, I surprised you having a go at Miss Adams. What happened? Did you want to give her another beating? She wouldn't let you push her around again, huh?
Shut up, you little shit! You have no idea what happened, and here you are, carping away. You think you're Investigator of the Year. Have you taken a look at yourself, de Richet?
Didn't you get enough beating her black and blue the last time?
I did not!
Why?
Nothing. Get away from me.
Just as soon as you stop treating me like I'm an idiot. If you wanted people to think you were guilty, you couldn't have done any better. So cut the bullshit and come clean now.
I can't! He'll come for revenge.
Who?
No one! Just shut your trap, goddammit! Yes, I was there. Yes, I walked in her blood. You've got all you need to wrap it up. Now scram!
Sir Johann van Volner. The signs of obscurantism. The Sorrows of Young Werther. There's a handwritten text signed by von Werner on this first page. Dear Elizabeth, I know that this book is but a small token compared to the delightful moments you gave me, but I hope that this will nonetheless keep the memory alive. Your ever-obedient servant.
So, Volner had a relationship with Elizabeth. But that's hardly surprising given his fondness for the occult.
A table of alchemical symbols. Someone circled the zinc symbol. The alchemist is a young man. Golden elixir. A chest locked with a 4-letter code. Surely a word close to the owner's heart.
Amber crystals. Greek drachma, one of the rare ancient coins to be mentioned both in the Bible and in the Quran.
What can I do for you, de Richet?
Monsieur, Lord Mortimer has appointed me to investigate the tragedy that befell us last night.
Oh, yes. It's horrible. Yes. How can I help, monsieur?
Where were you last night?
In my room. I read a few ancient manuscripts before going to bed. But I didn't stay up long. I was tired.
Thank you kindly. Excuse me for asking, but did you know Miss Adams?
Oh, she... not really, to tell the truth. No.
I found the Werther dedication, signed by your hand, monsieur. Would you like to change your version now?
Be careful, de Richet. Don't push your luck. My relationship with Miss Adams was pure, and has nothing to do with you. Well, continue playing the detective as you see fit. But if I find the bastard who did that to Elizabeth, I will...
Yes! I would have preferred a simple response, but I see I have my answer now. Exactly how long had you been seeing her?
I have no reason to answer you.
I see. Is that what you want me to tell Lord Mortimer when he asks what I found out?
It's only been a few weeks.
I get the impression that your romance was over. Am I right?
So? What does it matter to you? I would never have attacked her, if that's what you're insinuating.
Who put an end to the relationship? You or her?
It was her. It was her. But what does that matter? We both agreed.
Please, tell me a little more about the nature of your relationship.
That is a personal matter, monsieur.
Yes, that is true. So, tell me.
All right. It was passion. That's why we couldn't stay together. It scared her.
We finished. I'll have a look around and then take my leave.
Do whatever you have to do.
A chest locked with a 4-letter code. Surely a word close to the owner's heart.
Charmelite water. They say that if you drink this, it gives you a real boost. Monsieur Johann van Vulner.
What a tragedy, my son. How could such a thing have happened?
That's exactly what I'm trying to find out. Did you notice anything out of the ordinary last night?
I saw the young French soldier, Bonaparte, I believe, hanging around near Miss Adams' room. But I would not want to get an innocent man into trouble, Louis. It's probably nothing.
Not to worry, Your Eminence. If he is innocent, then he has nothing to fear. Do you know why Monsieur Bonaparte was hanging around her room like that?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised to learn that the dashing young soldier had become infatuated with a fragile young woman who looked a bit lost. But I don't think he got a very warm welcome.
Bonaparte and Adams? But they didn't even know each other, did they?
I couldn't say. But if I were you, my son, I would talk to Monsieur Peru. You remember how violently he set upon Miss Adams.
Oh, don't worry. He's on the list of suspects.
Nightmare painted by Fuseli in 1781. I've come to speak about the findings of the investigation, my lord.
I'm listening, Louis.
Will you remind me of the facts we already know about?
Elizabeth Adams was killed last night, but Piaggi was with Holm and I until late at night. As for Bonaparte and Washington, they left us after midnight, both tired.
I'm sorry, my lord, but I don't have any evidence conclusive enough to allow me to name the culprit with certitude.
Really? I see. Well, that's your decision, Louis, and I accept it. Given the distinguished guests and the sensitive political issues involved at the conference, I trust you'll leave me to conclude the case in my own way. Right. It's time we spoke about your mother, Louis.
She isn't missing, you know.
What? What do you mean?
My mother has left traces in every nook and cranny of your island, my lord. She's definitely here. Now, what worries me most is why she doesn't show herself.
That doesn't make me feel any better, Louis.
What was the official reason why my mother came to your island?
I knew about your mother's activities, and yours, in the Golden Order. I thought we had everything to gain by working together.
You mean the cannon deal with Monsieur Bonaparte?
Among others, yes. How did you hear about that?
Monsieur Bonaparte came to speak to me about it yesterday, during lunch.
I see. So impetuous. He was supposed to let me speak to you about it first. Our friend Napoleon desperately needed financial backing to properly equip his army. I took it upon myself to back him, because I have a firm conviction that he can go far. Yet he told me that you had spoken, and that you hadn't been able to reach an understanding.
That's putting it mildly. Monsieur Bonaparte is one of those guys who only understands people who think like he does.
Ah, I see what you mean. He is indeed rather inflexible when it comes to certain subjects. But I am still of the opinion that you can manage to get along.
We shall see. However, there's one thing that surprises me. Did my mother intend to finance a war? I'm not sure that I follow.
No, your mother's aim was not so much to partake in a war, but rather to make Monsieur Bonaparte accountable. France is in turmoil, and having... report of a military man can often come in handy, Louis. You'll see. Once this deal was closed, I had big plans for Sarah.
Such as what?
You see, I've invited several influential figures on my island to present them with a project at the conference. It will be presented later today. I thought that the Golden Order had a role to play. And I still think so. I was hoping Sarah would be able to join us.
I see.
Indeed, if by chance your mother decided not to return to us before the conference, would you do me the great honor of attending? If only to follow the deliberations while waiting for her to duly take her seat.
Why not? We shall see.
Ah, thank you so much. In this way, you'll be able to keep your mother informed of what is said. There's something else I'd like to briefly go over. Earlier, you asked me the official reason for your mother's presence here. Is there an off-the-record reason why your mother came here?
She was looking for someone.
What do you mean?
In Paris, we were working on a smuggling case to do with occult objects. We had just arrested a dealer who intended to go to you to meet a buyer. My mother was here to find out to whom he intended to sell his stolen treasure.
Oh. What was the name of your dealer?
I can't remember exactly. Von something or other.
Von Volner?
No, not your friend, Mr. Von Volner.
There's something I still don't get. In your opinion, why would your mother remain in hiding over several weeks?
Her not coming back to the manor after so long makes me wonder if she is wary of someone.
Well, certainly. But whom? The only ones who were present during her stay were Sir Gregory, Duchess Hillsborough, Mr. Von Volner, and myself.
You forget Elizabeth Adams, my lord.
That's true. But Gregory and I arranged it so that they wouldn't run into each other. I thought it had worked. Do you think that your mother felt she was in danger because of Elizabeth?
It's possible.
The only thing I can tell you is that Sarah had indeed changed. At the beginning of her stay here, we enjoyed spending time together, solving the world's problems.
You seem to know my mother very well, my lord. What did you talk about together?
Oh, as soon as we had a little free time, we liked to share points of view about practically any subject. We would find ourselves embarked on interminable discussions that could go from Monsieur Blanchard's flight in a hot air balloon to the Treaty of Jassy, or the adoption of the metric system in France last year, or even Mr. Eli Whitney's invention in the United States.
My mother must have undoubtedly taken great pleasure in these exchanges. She always was one to appreciate broadening her knowledge. I'm surprised she didn't get you started on the Crusades. It was her favorite subject.
Are you joking? Sarah and I spent entire days together reliving them. It so happens that the Crusades are also my subject of predilection, especially the Third. My ancestor distinguished himself brilliantly during the siege of Saint-Jean d'Acre.
Unfortunately, my lord, the Crusades are not my chosen field.
Well, it doesn't matter. You have plenty of time to learn. Your mother is a very well-read woman. You're quite lucky to have her as a model, Louis.
Yes, I know, but I'm still very worried.
I must admit, there are worse things to worry about now, Louis.
What do you mean?
Since she disappeared, your mother has been seen once. Her behavior on the evening of your arrival greatly surprised Gregory and myself. She resurfaced to attack Emma, Emily Hillsborough's twin sister. And she shot her with a pistol. Then, before Gregory could intervene, she ran off and disappeared again.
I beg your pardon? Hang on.
That means my vision on the wharf, it was actually happening inside the manor. Mother shot Emily's sister? The very person she came looking for? Why would she do that?
Excuse me, but between that and the childhood of Lady Adams, it's all a bit much for me to cope with. I need to piece it all together again to see things more clearly. You said that you spent a lot of time talking together at the beginning. What happened for that to change?
I'm afraid I haven't much to tell you. The more the days went by, the more she withdrew into herself. She never gave me an explanation, until the day came when she purely and simply disappeared.
Where did she go when she wanted to be alone?
She would shut herself away in a room we use as a box room upstairs.
Would you allow me to go there?
Naturally, Louis, of course. I'll send you a servant to open it.
Thank you.
That's all I can tell you about the disappearance of your mother, Louis. I would like to have been more helpful.
I shall stay on her trail and follow up any leads.
Thank you. We will meet later on to welcome our last guest. In the meantime, I shall get someone to open the box room upstairs for you.
Thank you.
The room is just opposite Mortimer's study. There are burnt papers in the chimney. There's a legible fragment left. Hey, I recognize my mother's handwriting. She says, we must find a safer way to communicate. Someone is onto us. Trust in my faith in the man with the sword. So Mother had an accomplice here. Who could it be? Who could she be suspicious of? I must find the next part. Faith, sword. I recognize her love of riddles there. Honey, I couldn't have hoped for better. Dante's Paradise. Raise your head and be reassured, for what comes up here from the mortal world must ripen in our rays. What is this disc? St. Paul on the Road to Damascus by Caravaggio. Caravaggio attained a magnificent command of black and the play of colors too. Paul facing an ordeal, the curtains of his illusions being raised, and receives the light from his Savior. fierce opponent of the first Christians, St. Paul is suddenly struck by the call of Jesus Christ and converts. It's the best-known conversion in Christian history, which teaches us that even enemies of Christ can be saved, and even become his greatest apostles after finding faith. From what I can recall, the account of his conversion could be found in the epistles to the Galatians, the Philippians, the Corinthians, and the Acts of the Apostles. The door appears to be locked on the other side. I think I heard something fall to the ground. A metallic sound, like a key falling to the floor. I'm gonna need something to help me get the key that fell on the floor. The door was closed from the inside. Would Mother have provided something within reach to recover it? There are burnt papers in the chimney. There's a legible fragment left. Hey, I recognize my mother's handwriting. She says, we must find a safer way to communicate. Someone is onto us. Trust in my faith in the man with the sword. So Mother had an accomplice here. Who could it be? Who could she be suspicious of? I must find the next part. Faith, sword. I recognize her love of riddles there. We'll see if it works. It's open. Chest with the occult symbol representing air. A drawing of the Apostle Matthew, painted by Guido Reni. He's represented as writing the word of the Lord, transmitted by the Holy Spirit, who appears here in the guise of an angel. The New Testament.
I guess I'll just come back later.
And it came to pass in those days that Jesus came from Nazareth of Galilee and was baptized by John in Jordan. This book is incredibly precious. I believe this is the book my mother referred to when calling upon the Lord. A volume of the Gutenberg Bible. Now, there is a Jerusalem by the sheep market, a pool, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Bethesda, having 5 porches. It's St. John, painted by Guido Reni. Several portraits of apostles, all signed by Guido Reni. It looks like someone touched this commode recently. There are fingerprints on the sheets and in the dust. Painting of St. Mark from the collection of the apostles by Guido Reni. A chest with the occult symbol representing air. There is none that understandeth, there is none that seeketh after God. For we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin. Wherefore, as by one man sin entered into the world, and death by sin, and so death passed upon all men, for all have sinned. And suddenly there came a sound from heaven like a rushing mighty wind, and it filled all the house where they were sitting. I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? God forbid, but rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles, for to provoke them to jealousy. Oh wait, a note from Mother is carefully folded between the pages here. What does it say?
Dear E, I'm glad you found this note. I was afraid the code of the 2 groups of pilgrims would mislead you. Pick up the package. You know where, and hide it where no one will find it. It's imperative. Awaiting your reply, hidden behind the youngest apostle.
What? The youngest apostle? What does Mother mean by that?
And suddenly there came a sound from heaven like a rushing mighty wind, and it filled all the house where they were sitting. And it came to pass in those days that Jesus came from Nazareth of Galilee, and was baptized by John in Jordan. And as they did eat, Jesus took bread, and blessed it, and broke it, and gave it to them, and said, "Take, eat, this is my body." And as they did eat, Jesus took bread, and blessed it, and broke it, and gave it to them, and said, "Take, eat, this is my body." Then came together unto him the Pharisees, and certain of the scribes, which came from Jerusalem. And it came to pass the day after, that he went into a city called Nain, and many of his disciples went with him, and much people. And so it was that, while they were there, the days were accomplished that she should be delivered. And so many came and couldn't find the body of the Lord Jesus. And this taxing was first made when Cyrenius was governor of Syria. He that believeth on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already, because he hath not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. Now there is at Jerusalem by the sheep market a pool, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Bethesda, having 5 porches. I and my Father are one. And he, bearing his cross, went forth into a place called the place of a skull, which is called in Hebrew Golgotha. Take heed that ye practice your justice before men, to be seen differently by them. Otherwise, ye shall have no reward of your Father which is in heaven. But Jesus turned him about, and when he saw her, he said, "Daughter, be of good comfort, thy faith hath made thee whole." And the woman was made whole from that hour. And great multitudes were gathered together unto him, so that he went into a ship and sat, and the whole multitude stood on the shore. And said, For this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh. And suddenly there came a sound from heaven like a rushing mighty wind, and it filled all the house where they were sitting. Then they suborned men, which said, We have heard him speak blasphemous words against Moses and against God. And he became very hungry, and would have eaten, but while they were made ready, he fell into a trance. Hey, there's a note here. A message from Mother in reply to E. We must leave urgently, but first I absolutely must go beyond the nightmare. Watch out for Volner. He figured out I was avoiding him. Allay suspicion. See you tomorrow evening. Stand ready. For now, let's cease all communication until we meet. Take care of yourself. I suppose this must be the last message. What happened afterward? If it's what I suspect, I fear the worst. What did Mother mean by, I absolutely must go beyond the nightmare? I must go beyond the nightmare. What does she mean by that? I'm guessing it's a metaphor. I need to figure out what this means. Mortimer's getting his guests together. I ought to join them so I don't look suspicious.
It's time I went back and joined everyone in the small salon.
You are expected in the small salon, sir.
Emily, I must speak to you.
What's the matter, Louis? About last night, I'm guessing.
Sadly, no. Even if I'd like to have, alas. There are more pressing matters. I have news about your sister.
What have you found out?
Look, I've started piecing together the events leading up to my mother's disappearance and your sister's. Did my mother know about your secret?
Yes, even though I belong to the English chapter, her rank in the Order gives her access to a good deal of personal information.
It must have been Emma I saw in my vision.
I was given to understand that my mother and your sister bonded during their stay. If Mother's really killed her sister, I'd better find her by myself. They say they spent a lot of time together. They got along well.
Oh, really? Do you think your mother liked Duchess Hillsborough?
Of course she did. After all, she's your sister. Well, we'll find them, Emily. Trust me.
Should I speak to her about my vision? If what I saw is true, she might want to take revenge.
Emily, there's something else.
Go on, then.
It's about your sister. I don't know what happened exactly, but it's possible that my mother had a go at her.
I know, Louis. I found out that same evening. Well, thanks for not trying to hide it.
What? Why didn't you tell me?
I didn't know if I could trust you. Now I know I can. It seems that your mother tricked Emma. She apparently asked her to hide an important book, so that even she wouldn't know where it was. And then she shot her like a dog to make sure no one would ever find it again.
Why would she do that?
I don't know, Louis. But I'll find out. You can count on that.
I'm sincerely sorry, Emily.
Thank you, Louis. You're very kind. It means a lot to me. But you do realize your mother will have to accept the consequences of her acts.
There must be an explanation, Emily.
That's what we shall see.
We'll speak about it later, somewhere safe.
Come, Louis. They're waiting for us.
You will pay dearly, Peru. I'm sure you were involved somewhere along the line.
That's right. Pretend you don't know. One piece of advice. Don't travel through France on your way back, or it'll cost you dearly.
Calm now, my friends. Let's calm down. Everyone seems to be a little unnecessarily heated. don't forget where you are, please.
What's going on here exactly?
Sir Gregory called us together to introduce the last guest.
But hardly had we arrived when he set upon Monsieur Peru.
And who is this charming character?
Manuel Godoy, the Duke of La Alcudia.
He's the head of the Spanish government, Monsieur de Richet. He's the one who, in practice, controls Spain.
How could you dare do such a thing? Dios mío, you are all out of your minds!
Really, Duke Manuel? What made you kick up such a fuss?
What? Have you not heard? Well, let me inform you that yesterday morning at 10:22 a.m. precisely, in the middle of the Place de la Révolution in Paris, by decree of the National Convention which Monsieur Peru works for, King Louis was guillotined.
What?
No. The King of France is dead, gentlemen. Our monarchies are in danger. I have said it before. How dare they?
Oh, dear.
Oh, as if...
Friends, let us calm down.
Don't pretend to be surprised. He got a fair trial.
Ridiculous! Bastard! He was sentenced to death by 361 votes to 360. You beheaded a king for one vote! Is that your democracy?
What an obnoxious act. Until this, anything was possible. This political coup will have grave consequences.
France is lost.
Gentlemen, please. Let us take a step back a moment.
In the name of holiness. He was the highest representative of God in France, Emily.
Gentlemen, Duchess, we're all among people of reputable company here. We should be able to manage the conflicts of our nations in a respectful and orderly manner.
I fully agree with you, sir.
But...
That's enough, sir.
With whom do I have the pleasure of speaking?
Louis Maras de Richet.
Are you related to Sarah de Richet?
Sarah is his mother, Duke. Gentlemen, this news affects us all, but I must ask you to remain calm. It's not the first time history has taken us by surprise. Let's ensure that our respective countries are allowed to respond appropriately to this news.
Oh, rest assured. The response will not fall short, my friend.
Good for you. Well, Your Grace, here I was preparing to introduce you as is proper, and you've beaten me to it. I'm delighted that we are all together at last. Our meeting will therefore be able to kick off shortly. I have just a few more little preparations to take care of before you all find out the reason for your presence here. In the meantime, I shall leave you to get to know one another. When you hear the bell, please proceed to the conclave room on my left, behind that door. I'll see you later.
Could you spare a moment, please, sir?
I'm glad you asked. I want to talk to you, too.
Of course.
I heard about your mother's disappearance.
He looks concerned. I don't know why, but I doubt it's from sympathy alone. Let's see what he wants from me.
Any news of her? Have you found her, maybe?
Hear you speak, it sounds like you and my mother were close.
Let's say I hold your mother in high esteem, yes. We were even planning to work together.
That's what he was getting at.
Did she tell you about our arrangement?
Absolutely, but I was hoping that you could tell me more about it.
Well, she was planning to sell me a very old book. I will make no secret of the fact that I am passionate about the subject, and when Sarah spoke to me about it, her account literally had me enthralled. I can think of nothing else since. You might have come across some old books in her belongings, perhaps?
as my mother's got so many old books. I'm afraid I won't be able to...
Oh, it's easy. You can't mistake this one. It's an ancient grimoire, composed of 7 parts. Each one is closed under lock and key. It was made in such a way that if someone tried to tamper with it, the sheets would be permanently tarnished. If you find it, you mustn't tamper with it. You see?
That's unusual. Unfortunately, that doesn't ring a bell. I'll look again, but I wouldn't get my hopes up. You seem very upset. Is it so important to you, this book?
Well, it's the search of a lifetime. What can I say? Every time I move closer to it, it seems to slip away at the last minute. I was very surprised to learn that your mother had it in her possession. I thought it was with a certain von Borchardt in Paris. Do you know him?
Indeed. One of your close friends?
No, not really, but we were close once. Precisely over the case that concerns us now, because he claimed to have the book I'm looking for.
Another dishonest person. What can you say? Can't trust anyone these days, huh?
No, you can't.
I hope I've been able to satisfy your curiosity, Mr. von Wollner, and that you succeed in finding what you're looking for.
Oh, and so do I.
And now, what if you told me who you really are working for, instead of keeping up this pretense?
I beg your pardon?
We both know what you're looking for, von Wollner. You're the one who von Borchardt was planning to sell it to.
For centuries, all those who have come into contact with the Al-Azif have bitterly regretted it, Monsieur de Richet. You are playing a dangerous game. Please know that I am working for someone who does not appreciate anyone poking around in his business.
Let me guess. It's Sir Gregory.
Correct. You ought to know then. He is not a man who likes to be duped. You are walking on thin ice, sir.
Honey, the remedy of the gods. Monsieur Bonaparte, may I speak with you a moment?
May we?
What do you think of Duke Godoy?
Well, I'd rather not express any opinion of him.
Why is that?
His reputation is enough for me.
Meaning?
This gentleman enjoys people talking about him for too many reasons. His undeserved titles, more than 10 in just 4 years, and each one more prestigious than the one before.
You don't think he deserves them?
If I had seen him on the battlefield, there might be some doubt. But that is not the case. The Queen would rather not risk losing him, so she consoles him with awards and titles.
So you don't have a very positive opinion?
His coveting French Catalonia does not encourage me to have one.
I understand your point of view. Would you have any more information about the conference Lord Mortimer spoke of?
Nothing at all. Mortimer is very committed to secrecy when it comes to his conferences. But given the presence of Monsieur Peru and ourselves, I think it must concern France to some extent. Otherwise, I doubt he would have invited 3 Frenchmen to his table, huh?
Well, I'll be leaving you now. Shall we meet up again later?
Wait, monsieur. Any news of your mother?
Unfortunately not, no.
I hope to speak with her about my deal before I leave. Let me know if you find her. À plus tard, monsieur.
Go beyond the nightmare. Does this line remind you of anything in particular?
You've caught me unaware here, Louis. Let me think about it a second. No, nothing comes to mind. Sorry, Louis, but I am unable to help you.
Mr. President, what do you think about your counterpart, Duke Manuel?
I'm very surprised he was able to accept Lord Mortimer's invitation, given the political situation in Spain.
What do you mean?
The situation is ready to explode with France over Catalonia.
Well, the Duke must have a darn good reason to be absent and come here, mustn't he?
When Lord Mortimer invites you, Louis, you come. It's always in your best interest.
I wouldn't say that personally, but... Mr. President, can you tell me a little more about the coming conference?
Of course, Louis. That's why we're here. Lord Mortimer or Sir Gregory regularly organize meetings like this to put forward major projects.
What do you mean by major projects?
I'd prefer to let Lord Mortimer explain that to you, Louis. Let's say he brings together influential people in order to consider possible actions to undertake to guarantee the future of nations.
Do you know the theme of the conference?
Not in the slightest. None of the guests know the theme before arriving, but you'll see. Everything will turn out fine. Don't worry.
Well, thank you for your time.
Don't mention it, my young friend. Regarding your question on the nightmare, don't hesitate to question the others about it. Maybe one of them knows more than I do.
That's a good idea. Thank you once again. I'll see you in a little bit. Monsieur Bonaparte, may I speak with you a moment?
May we?
Does expression "go beyond the nightmare" mean anything to you at all?
Well, metaphorically, yes. It sums up the career of a soldier quite well. I doubt that is what you want to hear, though.
Indeed.
That's surely not what I'm looking for.
Well, monsieur, if you are looking for a phrase book, Lord Mortimer must surely have one, given the number of books he has. You ought to check in the library of the tower. You never know.
Well, I'll be leaving you now. Shall we meet up again later?
Wait, monsieur. Any news of your mother?
Unfortunately not, no.
I hope to speak with her about my deal before I leave. Let me know if you find her. À plus tard, monsieur.
Ah, Louis. Just the man. Good Lord. How did the king come to be executed? I would think that the order would have intervened.
Your Eminence, I haven't been following the case. I'm sure that the Order did everything in its power. Unfortunately, you know the situation in Paris, and, well, it's chaotic at best. Anything can happen in those revolutionary tribunals.
The king is the official representative of God on earth, my son.
Your Eminence, France has become a secular state. The king was just another citizen to them. He refused to admit his errors, looked down upon them, and attempted to escape. What did he expect?
France has lost all reason, Louis.
I invite you to speak about it with my mother as soon as she reappears.
Is there any news of her?
I hope it won't be long before I find her, Your Eminence.
Louis, I'm counting on you. If you don't find Sarah before my departure, I must ask you to give me back the letter I gave you.
Well, don't worry about that, Your Eminence.
Now you wanted to speak to me.
If I say the nightmare to you, does it make you think of anything?
Your question is strange, my son. Difficult to say. Could you at least tell me a little more about the context?
Think of a place and tell me the first thing that comes into your mind when I say the nightmare.
Let me think. I'd say Lord Mortimer's favorite painting on the wall behind his desk. You know, that painting caused quite a stir when it was exhibited. It is titled The Nightmare, and it shows a woman lying down with a creature sitting on her. And in the background, a horse. I don't know if it will be of any help, but I can't think of anything else.
You never know. Thank you for that, though, Your Eminence. I gotta go and see it just in case, though. Thank you for everything, Your Eminence. I shan't take up any more of your time.
You are welcome, my son. I will be seeing you, Louis.
So, what did my mother mean by going beyond the nightmare? Let's take a closer look.
These chocolates are probably a protocol gift. Everybody in Europe loves them nowadays. Marie Antoinette, the Queen of France, has her own personal chocolate maker at Versailles. They say it's her guilty little morning ritual before getting dressed. A cup with 1 sugar and some vanilla, if I remember rightly. I would be surprised if Mortimer has them delivered straight from South America.
Dark chocolate beans. Very bitter. They're greatly prized in high society. The Nightmare painted by Fuseli in 1781. Ah, this must be what my mother was talking about. Now just need to find out what she meant by go beyond. Hey, Looks like it's mounted on rails on each side. It should lift up, I think. There must be a mechanism somewhere. I don't think this book can help me. A myna bird. Oh, what have I done? It looks like I've killed him. Oh, shit. I better not hang around. Might come in handy. No mechanism here. No mechanism here. No. Let's look elsewhere. I don't think this book can help me. Okay, no mechanism behind this painting. Well, I'll have to keep looking. Aha! I found it. Oh, what on earth is this? A ring lock now? Great. That's all I needed. Looks like there's a marker on number 1 on the second roller. Well, I got it wrong. It doesn't matter. Sesame. Let's see what you've been hiding, Lord Mortimer. This is my mother's writing. I've picked up her trail. What is she up to? Obviously, she wants to lure Mortimer somewhere, but where? The only clue she's left for Mortimer is this stone sword. It must be intentional. It looks like a decorative sword, like from a statue, for example. And judging by the state of it, I'm guessing it's been left outside for a long time. I have absolutely got to find out where it came from. Weakness of the Human Psyche by Guillaume Trimore. He says, it is possible to drill an idea into someone by constant daily repetition until the mind gives in. And goes on, there are hundreds of good ways to live life, but you only need one to convince the masses that it's the only one possible. The author isn't letting any ethical principles get in his way, is he? Moreover, it shows a fair number of sea voyages being organized towards the American continent. No doubt with slaves. How many men are broken in this trade? Tens of thousands each year, according to what people say. It shows the forces present in Africa. This is unexpected activity in this sector. It looks like there are also many unknowns, even for Mortimer. Fine-looking map of the Orient, indeed. Looks like a campaign is being prepared in France in favor of Italy. Could Mortimer have decided to finance a war? It shows the forces present in Europe. It's clear that France is surrounded by her enemies. However, a large number has been underlined in bold. 26 million. I know what it is. It's an estimation of my country's population. All our neighbors have far fewer inhabitants.
Some of those forces are pushing toward the west. On it, Mortimer's placed little feather symbols at different points, toward which the Spanish are headed. Could he be fueling Indian resistance to slow down Spain? This shows the forces present in America. Preservation using formaldehyde. Just as disgusting as ever. Something strange about this table. The Little Surgeon's Perfect Collection. The Little Surgeon's Perfect Collection. Looks like obsidian or onyx. It must weigh a ton. These are feathers. Pigeon, probably. A skeleton. By the name of Gustav, if the plaque on the plinth is anything to go by. Mortimer's given a name to his anatomy skeleton. That's morbid. Oh, his right hand is missing. That must be for writing the homing pigeon messages. An iron mask. I wonder who it's for. A chest with a motif representing the alchemical symbol of fire. Table of alchemical elements. So, Lord Mortimer also studies alchemy? It seems like he's interested in everything. Three rusty old nails. They're about 20 centimeters long. Some goat skulls, chicken legs. Now we all know what that's for. I'm a little surprised at Mortimer. Look, a pack of tarot cards. Has he been reading the cards? Mortimer? That would surprise me. It is a typical draw on a line that answers a specific question. To the left, temperance. That announces a reward for one who patiently waits before taking any action. And in the middle, the chariot, which symbolizes triumph and business success. To the right, the Emperor evokes a future full of power and stability. Something strange about this table.
Am I seeing things, or is that an actual von Leeuwenhoek microscope? Incredible. Mortimer really is at the cutting edge of science. Even at the Order, it took us ages to get one of those. Locked. Goat skulls, chicken legs, 3 rusty old nails. They're about 20 centimeters long. Oh shit. How am I gonna get out of here now? This looks like the same mechanism as the one on the other side. Whoa. If the grid closes a bit more every time I enter a wrong date, I'd better not mess up again. These cylinders are driving me crazy. I got something wrong with my positioning? This looks like the same mechanism as the one on the other side.
Better not dwell on it then. This note is about a meeting with Lord Mortimer. There's no doubt about it. All right, I need to find out where the sword that came with it's from in order to find Mother.
You're joking, I hope. Don't tell me you've done that.
Really? How do you expect me to guess?
Oh, for God's sake, just ask them. Well...
Pity, but I've got no time to lose.
I am sorry, sir, but the conference room is under preparation and is consequently inaccessible to guests.
Could you perhaps help me?
What can I do for you, sir?
Where did this sword come from?
From the garden, sir. That sword belongs to one of the statues in the garden.
Thank you very much.
Don't mention it, sir.
The sword probably came from this garden, but what could it have been used for?
Well, Monsieur de Richet, what brings you here?
I tell you what I'm looking for, Monsieur Peru. Will you promise to keep it to yourself?
Hell no. And anybody who gives you a promise like that is an unmitigated liar. Trust no one, Monsieur de Richet, or you'll soon be a dead man. I bid you good luck. You'll need it.
Ariadne. In Greek mythology, she helped Theseus get through the labyrinth. Looks like there's a crack in the region of the heart. I guide the sword that will kill the monster. If I recall the Iliad, Ariadne is none other than the daughter of Minos and Pasiphae. She was in love with Theseus and helped him in his quest to kill the Minotaur in return for a promise of marriage if he defeated the monster. She gave him a reel of thread so that he could find his way back through the labyrinth, which was famous for being unsolvable. But once the beast was slain, the gallant was quick to abandon her on an island. Turns out heroes are not what they once were. Let's see. A crack as long as my finger. Here's the famous Ariadne's thread, thanks to which, if I remember rightly, Theseus avoided getting lost in the labyrinth. Golden elixir. I wonder what this kiosk is doing in the middle of the garden. Too cramped to be able to do much. Well, there must be something going on there. What is that? It's like a sort of opening mechanism.
Knowing Mortimer, I bet it's booby-trapped. There's a little hole at the fingers. I'm pretty sure if I get it wrong, I'll get pricked. Damn you, Mortimer. Reminds me of traps I studied in Egyptian tombs. It's up to the just to deliver judgment. Truth unlocks all possibilities. Looks like this slab moves. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a passageway underneath it. Pasiphae, daughter of Perseus and sister of Circe. She married Minos and became the queen of Crete. All right, well, let's continue anyways. Theseus, son of Aegeus. He's the one who slayed the Minotaur. I wonder if Mother managed to solve this enigma. Icarus. Son of Daedalus and Nocrate. Impossible to mistake him with those wings. After flying too close to the sun, they came unstuck and he fell to his death. Pity. Well, let's keep going. Minos, son of Zeus and Europa. If I remember correctly, he was the king of Crete. Married to Pasiphae, he had many children, including the famous Ariadne, whom history remembers for her thread. Hey, there's a crack in that statue. His gesture sealed his fate. The crack is in the region of the heart. Again?
You can't be serious, Manuel. You know that's not going to happen.
You must leave me alone now. I have agreed to everything. Even to...
Agreed? I wasn't aware you had a choice.
What's going on here?
What now? What else must I do to win back my freedom?
Obey me. Now get out!
What was that? That's the third time in 3 days. Let's see if you're in there, Mother. Bandages? Someone's been patching themselves up. Looks like my mother took advantage of being in hiding to change her bandages, huh? This is silk. She must have used her own clothes. There are patches where the blood isn't totally clotted. That's a good sign, right? She changed them recently, which proves she's still looking after herself and still believes in her chances. Well, I'd love to tell her to keep hanging in there. Damn it, Mother. Now what's happened?
Don't move!
Wait, I'm not armed.
Who are you?
Good God, Mother, what have you—
Tell me who you are!